this is kind of a specific question. I'm a medical student, and I really struggled in cadaver lab because of how unnatural it felt for me to work with body donors. And my question is, in Islam, how can we reconcile the pursuit of medical knowledge through practices like anatomy dissection with the soul's desire to remain aligned with the natural order that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created?
Mm-hmm. I remember I struggled too. I was in my first year of naturopath medical school, and we have anatomy grows lab, and it was not prosection, it was us dissecting the entire body, which I grappled with. I had to ask multiple of my friends and teachers who are fuqaha, and all of them, alhamdulillah, were very comforting and said, if you have to do it, do it. Obviously would never propose that this is something you can do as a hobby and be like a prosecting in your basement for fun. I'm seeking knowledge. No, you can't do that. It's haram. But in this context, because it's a condition for the training, then you should do it. And so, I remember taking that to heart, and I took it as an amanah. I really took it as an amanah, like responsibility now to have adab. And I have to say, I tried to maintain decorum, but after weeks and months, I remember like we'd be in lab for hours, as you know, and sometimes we're cutting out pieces of fat this big, and we're tossing it into the bin, and we'd forget. And I remember I'd remind myself and people around me, like, hey, like, let's not be throwing parts of someone's body here. I know we're like working and we're stressed out and we're studying and trying to find certain vessels that are difficult to find and whatnot. But it became a constant dhikr for me, just like, and I struggled to dhikr, but I kept coming back to this is Khalqullah, and there's something very sacred here. And there's a ruh perhaps still tethered to this body. Maybe it's not fully saturated and sentient like we are now. As we know, at death, the angel of death pulls the ruh out of the body, but then it stays tethered in some way. And so I kept bringing that back. And I kept purifying my intention, right? So it's something that just, alhamdulillah, it's your heart is in the right place, inshallah. You should feel a little bit uncomfortable, and you should also feel honored. It's something that not many people get to experience. It's actually incredible. The whole thing's a dhikr, right? Just being able to see Khalqullah in that way is a privilege, and so just taking advantage of that privilege and really taking advantage of the time that you have to really study and benefit from that, and just maintain decorum as much as possible, and Allah knows your heart. All is well.